Hello and welcome to the very first episode of The Nerd Council Explains, the series where we break down some of the concepts found in comic books, TV shows and movies that you may not fully understand, from gadgets and sciences to sources of power and the mystic realms. These mediums tend to be governed by their own rules and principles that don't follow the ones found in the real world, so they can be confusing to grasp. That's why we're here to help. On this episode, we're going to be looking at the encompassing energy that is the Speed Force, best associated with everyone's favourite speedster, Barry Allen, aka The Flash. So we all know The Flash gets his powers from the Speed Force, and it allows him to move at phenomenal speeds. But what exactly is it? Well, the Speed Force is vaguely defined as an extra dimension energy force that exists between every dimension and every universe within the DC multiverse as we know it, and contains all the knowledge of all space and all time. It's the source of power for all speedsters within the multiverse, and was actually created and is generated by Barry Allen when he became the Flash. Confused? I would be too, so let me explain it a bit further. When Barry had his accident and the bolt of lightning hit him, turning him into the Flash, he actually ended up creating the Speed Force, and thusly caused it to have always existed throughout all space and time. It's a bit like the chicken and the egg analogy. Which came first, the Speed Force or the Flash? But what does this all mean? Well, in short, Barry Allen is the engine for the Speed Force. With every step he takes, he actually helps the Speed Force to grow, and in turn it exists throughout the multiverse. And while the Speed Force needs Barry Allen for it to keep existing, there is much debate within the comic book world as to whether it is an infinite source of power or not. What is known is that the amount of energy from the Speed Force that each speedster uses is different. The deeper or stronger the connection a speedster has to the Speed Force, the stronger their abilities, and in turn, the faster they can run. So what can the Speed Force actually do? Well, funnily enough, it grants more than just super speed. It can grant speedsters other abilities like accelerated healing, intangibility, meaning that they can pass through objects by vibrating at a particular frequency, and even use this same principle to pass through dimensions, create lightning constructs similar to those used by the Green Lantern Corps, create Speed Force armor, fly, and most famously pull off a move called the Infinite Mass Punch, which is stated to be a punch done by a speedster approaching light speed and causes their fist to have, according to Wally West, the force of a white dwarf star. Now, if you want a deeper dive into the true science behind this amazing feat, go check out Nerdist on YouTube. They have a video called The Physics of the Infinite Mass Punch. The Speed Force is also known to be the only force within the multiverse that can counteract the anti-life equation. Expect a video on that very soon. It also acts as the afterlife for all speedsters connected to it. Think of it as speedster heaven. When a speedster dies, they become one with the Speed Force. So I've spoken at length about the Speed Force, but what about its users? Famous names aside from Barry Allen include Jay Garrick, Wally West, Bart Allen aka Kid Flash, Savitar, Black Flash, also known as the Grim Reaper of the Speed Force, and of course the Reverse Flash, also known as Eobard Thawne. Thawne actually created something called the Negative Speed Force. It's an extra dimensional field of negative energy that eats away at the regular Speed Force, like a cancer, and can consume any speedster connected to it by touch. Like Barry Allen with the Speed Force, Thawne himself is also the generator of the Negative Speed Force with every step that he runs. He has used it to infect and corrupt Barry in the hopes that the Negative Speed Force would consume Barry's loved ones and other speedsters who rely on it, consuming Barry in grief so that he'd merge with the Speed Force. Well, I hope you've learned something about the Speed Force from this video. If you want to read up more about it, check out the Flash comic books, especially Flash Rebirth, Flashpoint, Crisis on Infinite Earths, and Flash Dead Blitz. Let us know if you have any recommendations for our next episode or future episodes in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe to this video. Thanks for watching.